Nia Shanks from niashanks.com.
Joe Carabasi, America's fitness coach for busy people, and joecarabasi.com.
Beltalubas, Element 5 Fitness. I'm here in Kirkland, Washington, www.element5fitness.com with the number 5.
Chris Reed, Toronto's sexiest strength coach, achieveyourpeak.com.
As Mike Rojas, Strong 101 Gym, Norco, California, just representing SoCal. Strong101gym.com.
Matt Wichlinski, the consummate athlete, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, tssathletics.com. But what do you think is some of the major differences between those people who want change and those who are actually making change?
Well, I think a big part of it, and this is something I've talked about on my blog before, saying there's a difference. You have excuse makers and you have excuse breakers. So, I mean, anybody and everybody can come up with excuses for why they can't start training or eating healthy or whatever. You know, it seems like a lot of people just wait for the stars to mysteriously align, and they're like, you know, when I get this taken care of or that falls into place, then I'll start making a change. And honestly, I think it just comes down to each person has to finally come to a point where they're going to do it. They're going to get past that sticking point or what have you and finally actually take action instead of just talking about things. But for each person, like I said, it just, whether it's some people have a health scare or something, you know, you can't force these people to find that point in their lives. It's really up to them. But everybody's different on when that happens.
Saturday morning, great day. To the intense heat that we had yesterday, 105. That shit don't faze us. Still get shit done, no excuses.
It just comes down to making the choice to do it. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but the problem is I think oftentimes people overwhelm themselves with like, if you're working out, how long you have to work out for, all the different exercises you have to do, or with diet, like trying to do like 10, 15 different things at once. And there's just so much going on. So I think simplicity and just taking action. Like, you know, the best thing, I always say, exercise is a gateway to more exercise. Play at Tabata or wherever else, and you're on the path towards progress.
Okay, starting simple, making one small change at a time is something I tell people. You know, if your diet is all out of whack and then you try and go to the perfect plan that you've read or learned about, it's probably going to be too overwhelming for you to adhere to. So you've got to find something that's going to be sustainable, and that might be one small change every week, every other week, even every month. And then at the end of the year, you've made, 12 or more small changes that add up to big productivity in your life.
So you've been training hard. What kind of influences have you had to get to where you're at now? What have you been doing?
You are the influence, man. Snatching, cleaning, sandbag sprinting, box jumps, you name it.
No
Whatever
shit.
you're doing, I'm trying to do it.
I think the biggest reason is actually that word, is the reason, the why. And so for a lot of people that I know that are successful, being a trainer, one of the advantages, you train people, you meet people who have achieved success in life. They want to make their bodies better and things like that. So, I do ask them questions. I know where did you come from? What did you do to make yourself successful? And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of them that made it to where they're at outworked the other person. So that's and they had a big reason why. It wasn't handed to them. I've heard stories of just living in their cars, things like that. So all pretty similar, as far as the stories.
So there's a lot of people that are creating their own success. It doesn't matter if things aren't handed to everybody. Sometimes people have an easy road, but everybody has different obstacles.
I think the key is actually in the way that you phrase the question. There's a huge difference somatically as well as psychologically between wanting something and needing something. Let me explain. All of us want to drive a BMW, but we don't need a BMW. We need a car to get us from point A to point B rather. So part of how we become influenced to take action is obviously by the peers that we associate with. If we associate with people who are high achievers, who are constantly pushing the envelope themselves, who are risk takers themselves, that constantly are pushing their own boundaries of comfort and discomfort, then by association, we ourselves will inherit some of those characteristics. So I think really between thinking and doing, it's a question of nature and nurture. I think there's something within ourselves, in our primal brain, with a fight or flight response that either determines you're A, a fighter, or B, someone that flees. And it's just, I think it's an interesting phenomenon. I think the biggest thing is to just sack up and take action, and not be afraid of the consequences, to face the fear and change your perception of fear, really, because perception is reality. I mean, you can choose to see that next goal, that next objective as fear, something to be fearful of, which will then cause and manifest anxiety somatically in your body, or you can change the way that you perceive it and change your vocabulary around that associated challenge and view it as such, view it as a challenge. Just by that very word, it changes your body, it changes the somatic response within your body, and you look at a challenge as something around which you can become creative. It's an obstacle that you can either see your way around or over or under. So you automatically start to tap into the creative side or creative processes of your brain, seeking a solution instead of creating reasons why you can't do something,
The doers and the talkers, it's a big issue, I think, with everybody, even just in our industry, but just in general, just holding back and just letting go. I know for me, I had a good job, 401k, insurance, all that good stuff, and I went to Zach's cert in 2008 in June, went to the first one, and he was like, start small, do this, do this, do this, and I was just like, after I left that cert, I was just like, no, I'm on fire, I need to just go. As soon as I got back, I started just looking for places to start a business. And a month and a half after I went to the cert, I quit my job and just left all that stuff. So, I mean, I think it's just that burning desire inside to just let go and not worry about looking back. I think Elliot did a video a long time ago about burning the boats. So if you burn the boats behind you and you're not looking back, once you reach shore, you just got to run forward. And I think that's a big issue is if you just hold on to something behind you, if you do what if, and I should have, I could have, I know now I could have done plenty of different things to start my business, but if I wouldn't have taken that leap at that point before the economy took a collapse in 2008, I would still be in my job and probably not have a gym right now. So I think it's acting on that burn of desire. Everybody talks about action or what is it called? It's not perfect action. It's just imperfect action. You just got to move forward. You just got to take that first step. You know what I mean? Even a bad day in the gym is a good day.
Yeah.
It's just getting outside the door, getting dressed, getting in the car, going to where you got to go. If it's your garage, you got no excuse. Rain or shine, if your gym's in your garage, you should be outside doing it. So it's just taking that action.
So I interchanged the hollow with the round back. Hollow.
I think a lot of people, there's a lot of fears. People are afraid of failure, so if they try something new and it doesn't work out, it's big wasted effort. But on the other side, a lot of people are afraid of success. And I'm not a psychologist, so I can't get into that too much, but it's almost like anything that's going to be uncomfortable, even if it's changed for the better, they're just so afraid to take action. So what do you think are some of the factors that help create that? Because like you said, there's never going to be a perfect time. The stars aren't all going to align with the moon, and there's never going to be the perfect time. It's either I'm going to wait until, the baby is out of daycare. I'm going to wait until I'm out of college. And we're always waiting for this perfect time, but it's never going to come. You either make the decision to do it, and you start taking action now. What other factors do you think are really important for people to just grasp that, that inner strength and start moving forward?
Well, for one, I think it's setting yourself up for success from the very beginning. Some people think they have to make drastic changes overnight. Tomorrow I'm going to eat completely healthy meals and I'm going to go to the gym every day. And it's more setting yourself up for success. It's sitting down and saying, okay, what do I realistically have the time to do? Can I only get to the gym twice a week? Am I really that busy? Well, so then, schedule 2 gym workouts a week, and then maybe you can find some type of body weight training or something to supplement with at home. It's being realistic and not asking too much of yourself, because so many people, they think they have to just go gung-ho every single day and make these drastic changes that, you know, if somebody's eating fast food every day and junk food, they can't automatically overnight start eating healthy. So I like to tell people, set yourself up for success. You know, be realistic about the time you have to train. You know, how many times you can make it to the gym or whatever, and if you have to do some stuff at home, that's fine. And then also keeping things as simple as possible, especially for somebody that hasn't trained in a while or somebody that's just wanting to get into it. You need to start with exercises that you can learn and master quickly. I mean, I've seen some people try to take a raw beginner and teach them a hang clean from day one. I'm like, that's just ridiculous, because if you have somebody do something and they suck at it, they're going to get frustrated and they're not going to, you know, nobody wants to do something they suck at doing. Right. So it's finding exercises that you can master from the beginning so you can see your strength increase quickly. And, you know, you're like, hey, I got this, I can keep doing this. And that way they're motivated to keep going back and keep doing more. So it's really, in my opinion, those two things.
The consequences of people's actions, you know, is obviously not being where you want to be. You know, if you don't work out, is you're going to live life of being unhealthy. You're not going to have the body you want. So I think, you know, it's a good thing to put things in perspective. Look at all the people who accomplished great things in the world, whether it was, you know, Benjamin Franklin, who didn't even go to high school, or somebody more recent, like some of these pros who have gotten injured, you know, like Adrian has gotten injured several times but came back to being all pro. Clearly, we're not on either end of that spectrum, but the everyday person realizing that people have it a lot worse. And, you know, whether you're tired, you don't get enough sleep, or don't have enough time, whatever you make out that excuse to be, is not as bad as it could be. You know, it's not as bad. If you can walk, you can move, you should be thankful for that and take advantage of it.
A lot of times people focus too much on the negative, what they don't have. You know, the timing now is bad because I'm in school, or I'll do this after, you know, after I'm done with this job or whatever. And they don't focus on the positive. So instead of focusing on the positive, they focus on the negative, and they never really get anything done. So I think that's a great idea. Focus on what you can do, what is possible for your current situation, and then take massive action and work with what you have.
We grew up in Guam. So we grew up in Guam, moved out here to the United States. That's a big move for two 18-year-olds coming out here, living in Oregon. You talk about living in the cars, you know, I told some people that I live in a basement, I live in a car, I've worked 3 jobs, then put myself through school. Coming from a small 30-mile long island, so you know that drive was intense, and it was almost survival mode. You know, you push me in the corner, I'm like that caged animal. Rollin was the same thing. So we had to work hard to get where we're at. Nothing was given to us for free. Every sweat, blood, and tear was put into this gym, this warehouse. That was the propelling force. Along with that, you know, our family backgrounds and seeing what bad health has done to our families. You know, my dad is half paralyzed; he can barely walk, and diabetes. Being big and growing up on an island, being big is okay. You know, you get Samoans, Tongans, and just being big is okay. It's not bad, but they don't address some of the things that come with that as far as, you know, bad health. And so I knew he wanted to be in the health industry. I just didn't know what. So Ram wanted to exercise science. I wanted physical therapy. We kind of collaborated, and I actually didn't want to be a physical therapist. I wanted to train people and making more of an impact. So that's the backstory behind that. Where we ended up with the gym, and today where we're at is, you know, again, we saw vision, we saw a goal, and we just kept attacking it. So 2007, Element 5 Fitness formed. We rented out of 3 different gyms. 2009, we got our warehouse, 5,100 square feet. You know, pursued other mentors to help us along the way, Zach Evaneshes and whatnot, which that's how we know you met. And then it's now 2012, so that's a long story short.
You made your biggest change and the biggest impact on your life when you were pushed in the corner, when there was nowhere else to go, and you had nothing to lose. You had to move forward. So you were in a very uncomfortable situation, and this is a very emotional time for you, and you're forced to make that change.
You pick your thing. Yeah.
In taking action, holding yourself accountable first and foremost to whether or not you do or do not do something. you alone have to face the consequences of your action or inaction. And I think that taking on responsibility for your actions or lack thereof is just a measure of your own constitution. You see a lot of trends right now in the fitness industry where people are talking about being a man, what it takes to be a man, sack up, be a man. And a lot of times it's this very aggressive tone of, you need to do this, you need to lift like this. And, you know, very rarely have I seen writers or authors take a look at more feminine side, if you want to call it that, where you need to have, yes, aggressive action, but at the same time, you need time to pull back and become more cerebral, to think about what the best course of action is for you. You know, being blinded and taking action when it doesn't pertain to your circumstances is just, it's a waste of energy, it's a waste of emotion, it's a waste of time. What you need to do is take the drive for action and make it specific to your circumstances and situation. So you need to kind of pull back and think before you act. So I guess you need to have that balance. And I think that's part of taking responsibility is, okay, I've got all this great information. How does it pertain to me and my particular circumstances?
Millionaire, most likely it's because of something you did. If you're broke, most likely it's because of something you did, good and bad. You got to take both sides.
If your face isn't shaven, it's your responsibility to shave it. Nobody's gonna wipe your butt for you after you go to the restroom. It's 100% reality and checking yourself and saying, hey, my life looks the way it does because of me. Mm-hmm. Every action, every person you've talked to, your total influences. What do they say? Your 5 closest friends and the 5 books you read currently are determining where you're at right now in life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's huge. I mean, if you're not picking up positive literature, if you're walking in the supermarket reading the tabloids, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Put that shit down. Look at stuff that can help grow your business, grow your life, grow your pocketbook. All that stuff is 100% on you. If your gym's not growing, it's on you. Like me right now, I'm having to reinvent myself. Like my wife tells me, you know, you got to reinvent yourself to bring in new kids. Football ends this week. How you going to get those kids into your gym? Yeah. You know, my major leaguers came back 2 weeks ago. Hit them up, call them. They're not going to just show up just because you want them to. You know, I thought the Field of Dreams type reality when I opened my place, like just open it up and they'll just show up. All the athletes will see Strong 101, strength and conditioning. They'll just roll in. Well, shit. Like you're making YouTubes almost every day, and Elliot and all these guys are pumping YouTubes. YouTube gets 1 billion hits a day. If you're on YouTube, you're going to get some views, mm-hmm. and you're going to start getting people to follow you, and it's going to start to grow. So you have to take action.
Look up, lift your hips, squeeze your butt, lock him in. Good. He's elevated. Great job.
We should keep things as simple as possible as long as we can still make positive change. Don't try and overcomplicate anything. Don't make anything any more complex or advanced than it needs to be, because all it's going to do is slow people down, and they focus too much on doing things perfectly because they're going to do it wrong. You can't do something complex if you haven't mastered all the previous requisite steps first. People need to accept the consequences of their own actions.
Well, I mean, I'm not anybody's cheerleader. I'm not the kind of person that's going to say, I'm going to hold your hand and get you through this. I mean, I'm more of a tough love kind of person saying you have to take action. There's nothing I can do to make you want this. But a lot of times I encourage people, I'm like, one of the helpful things you can do is find some kind of goal that keeps you motivated long term. Because oftentimes people that are like, oh, I just want to lose fat, it's kind of a negative motivation almost. I'm like, well, try to set some kind of goal that actually gets you excited to where you're consistent, mm-hmm. To where it's not like you're doing this because it's a chore, because it's something you have to do. And so, I'm like, what gets you excited? What would keep you going back to the gym, keep you consistent? And oftentimes it's shifting a focus from, well, I look like crap and I hate how I look and I have a muffin top. It's more of taking that negative aspect and being like, well, I want to see what I can do. I've never been able to do push-ups, or I really want to be able to do a chin-up for the first time. It's focusing on those positive goals to where you can see constant progress. And that way it's something that you can maintain long-term instead of just, something kind of blasé or, boring or whatever.
Ah!